Could I now introduce Anthony Rendall, one of our students here at Deakin University, in fact. He has just completed a Bachelor of Environmental Science in Wildlife and Conservation Biology. And this is quite a hoot here. He's just completing his honours year modelling the distribution and abundance of rodents on the Summerland Peninsula of Phillip Island. Now, how's that? I think that deserves a round of applause in its own right. And for the past 3 years, he's been on the committee of the Deakin Enviro Club and has been the president of that for the past 2 years. Please welcome Anthony.
Thanks, Keen. And again, I'd like to obviously thank you everyone for the opportunity to speak today. Sonia's just going to whip up the presentation so I don't forget what I've got to say. All right, so I guess I'm here today to talk from a student's perspective about what this Talloires, did I say it right? Good. The Talloires Declaration means from a student's perspective and what we sort of see it as. Is that going to work? Beautiful. So I'm going to take a little different standpoint and go back to the very beginning. And I guess my, environmental science and the environment has been something that's been extremely big in my life from the very beginning. I was extremely passionate and wanted to make a difference. And I guess one of the main points from my perspective was the 2003 Alpine bushfires. I was sitting on the TV watching the bushfires as, regular kid would do. And there was this kangaroo, and this kangaroo had hopped along, obviously trying to escape the fire, and got caught in the fence. And obviously the fire had caught up, and it had been burned. And, my first reaction was, who put that fence there? What is that fence doing there? That's not fair, to which my parents thought was absolutely hilarious. What a reaction. And I guess that sort of first highlighted where the issue lies in terms of environmental science. Humans have put these blocks in the way of the environment and have changed the environment to suit ourselves as much as possible. And now there's that shift where we start to see that, hang on, we need this environment. This environment is vital for what we want to do. So we have to make that difference and become more sustainable. And I guess this is one of the best examples that I could really find. I didn't understand the logic. Why would you take, such a beautiful, pristine environment and turn it into something that is pretty much useless in terms of an ecotourism perspective, but no one realistically is going to pay to visit that area anymore? So why were we doing this? What drove this? And obviously, I think when you nut down to it, it was the money side of things. And to use a contemporary example, this is Kakadu National Park. Many people may not know that's actually a mine in the middle of Kakadu National Park. Kakadu National Park is very underknown. It's probably arguably one of the most wild places in all of Australia. And recently there was a scientific trip there to try and discover some of the new species that were actually present there. We don't know every species that lives in this national park, but we still want to mine it because there's money to be made. So again, I don't understand the logic. Why are we doing this to our environment if we need it to live? And I guess that really drove me, obviously, to Deakin, to the environmental science and wildlife and conservation biology degree. And I really saw Deakin as this forefront in terms of environmental science. It had a long history, as Jeff mentioned before, of environmental science. And so this is where I wanted to do my degree. And that sort of, again, just to lead on, led me to the Deakin Enviro Club. Obviously, you come to uni, you're a first year student, you know no one, you're a bit nervous. So you join a club to make some friends and you sort of go from there. So I joined the Deakin Enviro Club, and initially it was that social aspect, that social ability where I could meet people. And a lot of my good friends now have come through the Deakin Enviro Club. But as the year went on, particularly in my first year, I saw this opportunity that, hang on, this club could do something. This club has the opportunity to make a difference. It could make a difference not only from a personal level, from my own life, but on a community level. And one of the things that I'm very proud to say is that we have had a big impact on a community level over the past 3 or 4 years, as well as some very active members. And I can't take all the credit for that, but some very active members of the Enviro Club. So a little bit of background. The Deakin Enviro Club currently sits at around 200 members. About 4 years ago, we had 8 members. So we've consistently had around about 200 members for the past 3 or 4 years. And one of our big aims is raising awareness Obviously we started, and most of our members were from the environmental science faculty. And that's fairly common, and you can sort of understand why that is. But one of the things is we wanted to raise awareness about environmental issues, and about environmental issues that mattered to other faculties. And we've really tried to plug it to as many faculties as possible, because this is, as Janine mentioned earlier, it's not for the scientists to deal with, it's for everyone to deal with. And so we're really trying to reach every faculty. And I'm very proud to say that this year we've actually got about equal coverage of all 4 faculties as our member database for our club. And a lot of what we do is provide opportunities. Obviously, as an environmental science student, I have a lot of opportunities to get out into the environment and to experience the environment and learn a lot about the environment. But that's not necessarily something that everybody in the university actually has the ability to do. And so we try to provide that avenue, and we take a lot of students out off campus a lot of the time. Into, up to Benalla. We've been to Flowerdale, and I'll talk a little bit about some of our trips a little later, and get them into the environment and not show them how to appreciate, but give them the opportunity to appreciate what the natural environment is and what it necessarily does for us. And again, social and professional networking, it's a big opportunity to create that network, and that network of friends, and that network professionally, to get people working together within, across different faculties, including, art students, economics students, commerce students. They can coordinate with these environmental organisations as much as environmental science students can, and it gives us a great opportunity to start to create that network across all jobs. So I won't talk a lot about our events, but this one really does touch me. A family contacted us about 3 years ago from Flowerdale, just after the Black Saturday fires, which pretty much ripped through Flowerdale. They'd just got married, and so they asked all of their guests, don't get us any presents. We don't want you to get presents. We're going to purchase 400 trees, and as a wedding gift to us, please plant them on our property. Obviously, because it was their wedding day, they got about 50 trees planted, and then the party kicked in. So there wasn't quite that successful uptake. So they asked us, they contacted us and said, can you come and help us complete this job that we've set ourselves? And that was something that was quite amazing in a community that had completely broken. It was a broken community. And we went up there and we were on the front page of their newsletter because this was big news to them. And talking to them and learning more about this family, Trent and Vicky Patton are their names. One of the other drivers behind them doing that tree planting is because their community was broken. And they said, look, someone's got to do something. Someone's got to change this community. Why not us? Why can't we be that starter? And the community's gone from leaps and bounds since then, and really doing some amazing positive stuff in that area. Picture on the left is from a wildlife sanctuary in Flowerdale, which played a big part after Black Saturday fires, and that's opportunities for members. Benalla Nest Box monitoring I mentioned earlier, so we take students up to Benalla. This is actually collecting a data set for scientific research with a guy from DSE, Department of Sustainability Environment, looking at sugar gliders and some cute species there. Anyway, all of this is coming towards where we are tonight and why we're here, the Talloires Declaration. So what does it mean to us? And I guess my first impression was, congratulations, what an opportunity for us to move forward in terms of sustainability. Big step forward. But then I started to think about it a bit more, and it's this opportunity that we can let history repeat itself. I'm assuming everyone remembers Kevin 07. Kevin 07 was going to sign the Kyoto Protocol, and then he did. But then nothing happened. And the same can be said for the Copenhagen Climate Change Summit. The world leaders got together to make this, to talk about climate change and to try and get this, a new Kyoto Protocol almost. And they sort of said, yeah, we should do something. Yes, we should do something, but not now. Let's just wait. So it's this opportunity to fail again. And I guess one of the big things that I wanted to put across is, yes, you've signed it. Congratulations, that's amazing. But now you need to move forward. We need to make this signature mean more than signatures of the past. This signature has to be that point in time where we go, wait, no, this time we're going to do something. This time we're going to make that change. And it's all well and good for me to say, make a change, but how? So I got together with my committee. I've got a committee of 7 at the moment, and we sort of had a bit of a brainstorm. And at our last club meeting, which was only last week, we had a brainstorm between us as well. And I guess the big thing, the one thing that really did come up was, as Janine and both Jeff have talked about before, is education. And one of the things that was mentioned is, could we not make it compulsory for every single student that comes to Deakin to have to do a unit based around some form of environmental sustainability? Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be a unit called environmental sustainability. It could be a unit on climate change. It could be a unit on sustainable harvesting. It could be something that they could relate to their own degree, but give them some sort of fundamental knowledge about some part of what environmental sustainability actually means. And I've actually had a great opportunity this year to actually see that change in some students. I have been a tutor for a unit called Ecology and Environment, which education students have to do as a part of their degrees here at Deakin. And I guess one of the moments that really sticks with me is that there was this one point, and I'm explaining the weather, so why it rains, and there's this student sitting at the back of the class and go, "Oh, I get it!" And this big euphoria happened because she suddenly understood the first part of science that she'd ever understood. And it was something as simple as understanding why it rained, but that was a big moment for them, you know, and ever since that moment in that class, she's been one of the most actively involved members. She's not an environmental science student, but she's got that interest. She gets it, and she now wants to move forward with that. And that was something really amazing to see as a teacher, and something that I think could really be brought on at this university and give the students the opportunity to have those moments, to realise how things happen, why things work, and how they can make a difference. I'm not going to talk a lot about the second one, reduce consumption and increase recycling, because I hear that this Sustainability 2020 plan does involve a lot of that. But a few things that did come up, unit guides. I know as a student, I never looked at my unit guide when it was given to me. If I needed it, it was online for me. So I went online and Googled it. So why should we print out thousands and thousands and thousands of copies of 50-page unit guides if I'm not actually going to use it as a student? Particularly when you're provided with it online. So if you do want a hard copy, you can print it yourself. 100% post-consumer recycled paper. Let's make the decision. Let's make that choice that, no, we're not going to cut down old growth Australian forests that have been there for centuries, that is vital for habitat for many species. We're going to use the paper that's already been used, that other people have finished their use with and can now be recycled. We could print more unit guides on our old unit guides, and we could just get that cycle going. And recycling bins. Could we not see a campus? There seems to be this thing, and it's not just Deakin, I'm not picking on you, Deakin, this is everywhere. Wherever someone wants to put on a recycling bin, they feel the desperate need to put a rubbish bin right next to it. And you wonder about the logic of that. If we're trying to increase recycling, why do you need the increase of rubbish as well? So could we not see a campus where it's extremely difficult for people to find that rubbish bin to put the rubbish in, but extremely easy to find that recycling bin to put their recycling in? I know where every recycling bin is on campus, and I can count them on my hands. So, you know, that's obviously one thing that come forward. And the last point that I was going to mention, obviously there was a lot that came up in our discussion, so I've shortlisted it. But new development equals new opportunities. And this is looking directly at the new building that's going up on this campus. Obviously, legislatively, Deakin is required to put in X amount of car parks for every new building that they put up. So there's no way to avoid that. So you've got to put it in there, so that's fine. But could we not start to look at the future? Could we make that a carpooling specific car park so that students can come in, and if there's two students in the car, they both swipe their student cards simultaneously and they enter? Not only would that make it easier for a student, because you don't have to go and buy a ticket straight away, but then suddenly you're driving this sustainability. Yes, there's more car parks for you to use, but you've got a carpool. It's that catch-22. And it could be the kind of thing that you can incorporate it with your Deakin card, so that when the driver, that student, then comes to pay, it's kind of like your airport car parking. You swipe your student card and then you pay for it there. So you're paying after you're parking. So it means you don't have to worry about parking tickets, because if they don't pay, they're not going to get their car out. And most uni students aren't going to live without their car most of the time. So that's, you know, another way that if we incorporate sustainability into our new development and make it a way of how we build, as opposed to having to convert it from something else, is a really positive step forward. So finally, I'd like to finish. Congratulations. It's an amazing achievement. It's a good step forward. If you look at it like a job contract, You've got the job, you've signed the contract, now you need to fulfil your obligations of that contract. Let's move forward and let's create a sustainable Deakin. Thank you.